It's time to wake up, recover from last night's mess, and get your fix of sports caffeine. It's time to kickstart your day with the latest sports news and opinions. Get ready. Sports Caffeine is live in 3, 2, 1.
Who's going to host? Are you hosting, Kaylee, or am I going to host?
You got it.
Welcome. Oh,
great question after the intro. Great question.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Sports Caffeine. It's our NFL pregame show here on week 10 of the NFL season. I'm one of your hosts, El Bushman, but alongside me, of course, as always, is Kaylee Chikoski and also Chip. What's going on, you two? Happy Sunday morning to ya.
Yes, the weekend went by too fast, I feel like.
Yes,
I know it's already
week 10.
I know it's already Sunday, which that's a bummer.
Guys, let's not get we're 1 minute 23 minutes in.
Don't worry about it.
Come on. We got football weather, we got big linemen, we got injuries, we got sports.
Welcome to Sports Caffeine, sponsored by Manscaped.com. Make sure to go to Manscaped, get your 20% off and free shipping with the code SC2020. Go to Geology, get 30% off your next order by the promo code Caffeine. Geology, where if you have bags under your eyes, their products will help your bags go away and you'll feel refreshed in the morning with their morning face wash. I tried it. It's great. I'm not really a face wash kind of person, but I will say this. You will be...
Appalling.
What's up?
That's appalling. I'm not a face wash person.
I'm
not a face wash person.
I'm not a face wash person, but
that's the sound of privilege right there. The good skin privilege. I'm upset.
I'm not going to apologize for that. So, yeah. Anyways. All right. So, welcome to week 10 of the NFL season. Yes, like Chip said, we've got all kinds of weather going on today. We've got planes landing late for some teams. We've got 7 hours late for the Bucks. For the Bucks, I feel bad for the Buccaneers. They didn't get any sleep. But anyways, before we go into that, let's go into some mid-season grades for our respective teams. Of course, mine's the Bucks. Kaylee, you're the Jags, and Chip, you are the Falcons. One of our teams has a winning record, and the other two not so much. So let's go around the horn. Let's do our mid-season reviews of our teams, and let's kind of maybe grab a couple teams that maybe we thought were going to do good and then turned out to be bad. So, Chip, I'm going to go with you. Your Falcons. What would be your mid-season grade for the Falcons?
I mean, mid-season grade for me is probably a D. I mean, I was expecting a lot more from this team. I know with COVID and preseason and a lot of things that got in the way for every team, this was a team that held its entire nucleus together on the offensive side. You know, had some rookie linemen. They grew from the previous year. You still have Julio Jones. You still have Matt Ryan. You traded for a piece, got Hayden Hurst. And, I mean, I thought going into this year, I was excited. There weren't everything. You had a lot of continuity offensively and defensively. So I was expecting a lot more from what we've seen. And I mean, the Falcons are just they lack talent on defense. We know we just had Takk McKinley, who was released. I think he was signed by the Bengals after waivers. And he was a top pick. So I'm going to go with a D, and the Falcons are going to annoy me the rest of the year because they're going to win enough to get a draft pick just deep enough in the first round to pick somebody who is a fringe talent or we don't know, could be boom or bust. And the Falcons will pick him just like they did Vic Beasley, and he'll be a bust, and we'll waste another first-round pick. So really excited about the Falcons winning the past couple of games and just continuing our draft status to go down, down, and down. So keep up with your work, guys. You're doing great.
If you're the Falcons, do you, depending on, of course, the latter half of the season, how the team does under Raheem Morris, do the Falcons give Raheem Morris a shot if the team kind of rallies and maybe does 500 at best the rest of the way, or are they going to be searching for somebody else?
I mean, I think when you clean house and you kill the general manager, you kill your head coach, you need to kind of get the broom out and kind of spick and span the place. So let's go ahead. Let's cut all ties. And I mean, if Raheem Morris does a great job, maybe you look at an offensive mind for a head coaching position, and maybe you keep him with the defense. The defense has definitely done better over the past couple of weeks. So, I mean, that's where the lack of talent is for the Falcons. Obviously, it's not on the offensive side, so they have to really address those needs defensively. And maybe Raheem Morris can be that guy. But I still look at Eric Bieniemy. I still like Robert Saleh, defensive coordinator for the 49ers. I like both those guys. I hope we can get one of them, but we won't know until January or after the Super Bowl in February, unfortunately. So we'll have to see.
All right, and Kaylee, your Jacksonville Jaguars. So much promise, so much hope.
I don't know if there's promise. I don't know if there's ever promise.
You are standing at 1 win throughout the whole season. What would you give your team a grade?
So I think it depends what we're grading, because if we're grading position to have a high draft pick, to get some talent next year, we are doing the best we can. I mean, A+ on that front. Like you said, we won 1 game, and it looks pretty unlikely that we're going to win, any of our next 5 games. The Packers, Steelers, Browns, Vikings, Ravens, those are not winnable games for us right now. Unless something traumatic happens, Dalvin Cook dies, the entire Browns running back room dies. It's just not going to happen. So
you heard it here first, Kaylee wishing death on a lot of
No.
Not wishing.
Not wishing death. And I think A+ if you're looking at our team, because it's like,
just saying if it happens, I believe.
Yes. If it happens, we might win a couple games. Who knows? But I just think you look at our, we haven't lost any games in a blowout fashion. We really haven't. We've stayed competitive through 4 quarters. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or any kind of promise or hope given our new offensive staff and what we have on both sides of the ball. But we do have young talent. You look at James Robinson, DJ Chark, Keelan Cole is kind of back in that conversation now. And then obviously on defense, we've got Miles Jack, CJ Henderson making a really good name for himself as a rookie, and then Josh Allen. But I think if you're looking at trying to get a top talent, whether that's a defensive talent or a quarterback, Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence, I don't think we're going to beat the Jets to that, but I think we we're in that position. So I think you look at our season, that's obviously an F. I don't think we're performing well over the season, and I don't think that we're going to get any better regardless of our draft pick if we don't kind of fix our organizational issues, kind of what we were talking about before we went live. You've got terrible player retention, terrible player development. You have an organization and a coaching staff that has no idea what they want to do with this team in the future. They don't know who to invest in, who not to invest in. So unless you get rid of Dave Caldwell, Todd Wash, probably the entire defensive coaching staff, then I don't know that it matters if we take Trevor Lawrence. I don't think it matters if we have Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields and your top defensive draft pick, if we have those people still in jobs. So who knows?
Okay. All right. So my midseason grade for the Buccaneers, and I thought about this long and hard before we got on the air today, and I would say a B-. And I say B- because of consistency we haven't really seen from this team, because they have a stretch from where they really do really good, and then we have games like where they just looked god-awful against the Saints. You looked god-awful against the Chicago Bears. You looked pretty shaky against the Giants. So until you have a consistent stretch of games like the Saints do, where they're going for their sixth straight win this week, unless you're going to give me that, I'll give you a B- for right now, because the secondary still looks shaky. They still there are a bunch of young guys in the backfield. That's really an iffy right now. Offense is, you got Tom Brady, you got all the stars in the world. And Kaylee, you talked about this a couple shows ago. It's like a fantasy football team. You've got all these stars, on this team now, but there hasn't really been any kind of consistent gelling with this offensive unit. There has been games where they look flawless. They look fantastical, but there are other times where they just look flat. They don't know what's going on. So until they give me consistency, I will give them a B-, almost like a borderline C+, but I will give them a B- for the Buccaneers grade this year. So Gotcha. Okay. Well, I like that. I mean, obviously, your guys' teams are in rebuild mode, obviously, for the next year coming.
We've been in rebuild mode for a decade. Like, okay.
So my next question to ask you too is we've got some rookie quarterbacks that are performing quite well. I got Joe Burrow. Tua's, been looking good week upon week, and then Justin Herbert. Out of those three guys, who would you build a franchise around? And Chip, I'm going to go to you first.
I mean, Tua right now is the smallest sample size that we've seen, but I really do obviously like his abilities. I think you know what you get. You get more of a pocket passer with Joe Burrow. I think that I might want Tua, even with the injury concerns, just because I think that his upside is more, although Herbert is very, very good. He has come out and really shown that he's going to be a guy that can light up the scoreboard. So I won't take any more. I'm going to say Tua, and I won't take any more answers.
Okay. I'm going to go. Yeah. I'm going to Stan Campbell's comments was really funny. He says he gives the Bucs a C-. I was borderline C+, Stan. So I was in the C realm, but I'm giving them a B-. So Kaylee, your franchise quarterback, you've got those three to pick from. Who are you going to build around? Who are you going to build around that quarterback for the next 5 to 10 years coming?
Yeah, this is really tough because like Chip said, Tua has had, 2 games to really show us who he is. Joe Burrow was kind of the known starter going in, and Justin Herbert gets thrown in and is kind of just like, here, take this team, do something with it. I'm going to say Joe Burrow because I do think that regardless of whether he was the starting quarterback coming into 2020, he's been put in the worst situation. I mean, he's got an O-line that can't protect him to save their lives. It's one of the least talented rosters in the league. You look at it, it's nothing impressive. But every single week you watch them, and the Bengals look like a good team, despite the fact that they have a bad record. He's exciting to watch, and he gives a lot of hope in a franchise that really has nothing to really be hopeful about otherwise. So it is, I do think Joe Burrow gives them more consistency. Like you said, Tua's very injury prone, and that remains the concern. And then you look at the Dolphins who, their defense has just gotten consistently good, over and over and over again throughout the season. And it's like their defense puts them in a position where their offense can really be in the game. They can get back on the field. They can put Tua in a position to be successful. So as long as he stays healthy, that's great. Now, I don't know what Tua looks like in another team under another coach, because I do think that Brian Flores is probably one of the best coaches that he could have really come in under. And then you look to Ryan Fitzpatrick, who had a really great start to the year. So he has been put in a dream situation. Justin Herbert, he's got weapons. He's got Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, Mike Williams, but, and he's put up numbers and he's impressive. But Joe Burrow is really the only one working with nothing, right? He's working with nothing. He's been sacked almost 30 times. He really is playing in a tough division for all. I mean, he's been put in just the worst situation, and he still looks like a great quarterback, and he can do a lot of different things. He's very versatile. He's very consistently accurate, and he's sturdy. So I think when you look at longevity, I'm probably 9 times out of 10 going to go with Joe Burrow.
Okay. See, I'm going the same way too, because, Joe Burrow's kind of in that situation now because they put him in there. They don't really have a plethora of talented stars. I mean, Joe Mixon's getting hurt all the time. AJ Green's pretty much he's going to be out after this season, no matter what. Yeah. But they've got they've got some guys that they drafted this in this draft for this season. But then now you're in place to really kind of build around him. How do you want to build your offensive line? How you want to build your wide receivers and tight ends and running backs? But with Tua and also Justin Herbert was on a team that was kind of already good as it was. Now, of course, having Tyrod Taylor there to start off the season, now you're not going to really do well. But like when Phillip Rivers was there, these are the same cast of guys that were on that team. You're just putting in a new quarterback. And that's why Herbert's coming into a kind of a good situation. And like you said, Kaylee, with all those high profile players that are already there. And now Tua's my main concern is because of his injury history. I wouldn't really want to build a franchise around him because you don't know when he's going to break next. So I think the guy that comes out, the biggest guy you can build a franchise around would be Joe Burrow, because right now what I've seen throughout the whole season is this guy keeps getting better and better with what little that he has to work with. So I would say building a franchise around Joe Burrow would be your best bet. So
now let me tell you something. Drew Brees left the Chargers, had shoulder issues, had ligaments, had all sorts of damage, and he's led a franchise to the Super Bowl and won with injury concerns. So, but Tua is too much. You're scared off.
Yes, I'm talking because he's got leg problem, like leg injury history. Like,
well, he's got hip, he's got a little knee action, but
that reminds me of Robert Griffin III. So that to me is a major concern with me. Like an arm, not so much legs, because he's a mobile quarterback. He's going to be running around all over the place. If he takes one more bad shot, a lot
bigger though.
I don't know, Chip. And also linemen too in the NFL are way bigger than the ones in college. And if he gets hit like he did in college, like he's done. You're done, and you're screwed for the next 5-10 years looking for a franchise quarterback. So I would say Joe Burrow's the guy that you got to build a franchise around.
Time will tell.
Like, can you imagine? And maybe it's just me, but I can't really see Tua or Justin Herbert going to any team in the NFL and making that much of an impact. Like, I think they've kind of both lucked into situations that really favor them this season, and maybe not on record, because obviously Justin Herbert, their record's atrocious, but like, I think for making a debut as a rookie, like they've really lucked into two perfect situations for all intents and purposes, especially Justin Herbert not even expecting to play. Joe Burrow's a guy where I think you put him at any franchise in this league and he's making an impact, much like people think Trevor Lawrence will do. And that's kind of the difference between Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, who I can see Trevor Lawrence going anywhere in the league and making that team better. And I can't see the same for Justin Fields. So I think, to me, Joe Burrow is that guy, and those other two aren't quite those guys.
I think with those guys, you have to change your system. So their athletic abilities, kind of like the Ravens, they knew they were going to have to come in and mold something around Jackson. And I think that, and Evan, you and I talked about this, the league is smart. They start to figure things out and they start to change things. And, we heard Lamar Jackson talking on I think it was the Rich Eisen show, about teams calling out their plays now, because their playbook hasn't really changed and it's been a little bit vanilla. So defenses now, when they're walking up to the line of scrimmage, hearing the calls, checks, audibles, are starting to identify what they're doing. So it'll be interesting. I think you can change an offense to fit the talent around you. But I tell you where I'd love to see Tua. Put me at the 49ers with Kyle Shanahan and let me go play there. If I was Tua and I landed there, we'd see the Tua experience already. It would already be going on right now with those receivers, and it would be unbelievable. Give me George Kittle. So you got your tight end you need. You got your breakaway wide receivers. You got your rushing game. I think Tua would make a huge impact if he could have gone to the 49ers.
And that spot might be open.
That's true. Jimmy G might be on his way out. So,
yep.
but Miami's not making any kind of trades anytime soon. So.
Definitely.
No.
All right, so let's get into Week 10 matchups. Our first game, we're going to go into the Houston Texans travel to Cleveland today. Who do we got in the Browns versus Cleveland? Browns versus Texans, sorry.
Well, we do get the resurgence of Nick Chubb now coming back, been on IR, making the start today. As we talked about before the show, we all know there's going to be some weather today. So you're going to have winds gusting, I think sustained winds there, like 25 miles an hour. So expect a heavy dose of Chubb. And, I'm going with the Browns for this one.
Kaylee?
Yeah, I'm going to go Browns as well. I think it's interesting because the Texans are kind of the Browns' kryptonite in a sense. Like, they've won 5 games against the Browns last times that they've met. So that's a really, fun fact. But I think when you look at who's a better team and who's a more complete team right now, obviously the Texans are far from complete. But so are the Browns. But like you said, they get Nick Chubb back. Kareem Hunt's obviously a huge impact there and has been even without Chubb. The Texans won't have David Johnson, which is huge because Duke Johnson's not quite a equal substitute in that sense.
He had a good game last week, though.
He did have a good game. But you look at also, their defense has a lot of problems, right? We can say what we want about debuts for rookie quarterbacks, but they played the Jaguars last week and Jake Luton threw for 300 yards. That's not really acceptable. The Texans, he ran for a touchdown, he threw a touchdown. That game, we lost by 2 points, right? And you look at Baker Mayfield coming back, kind of really getting into the swing of things now that he's more, I guess, closer to 100% than he really has been as of recent. And the Texans give up a lot to opposing quarterbacks. So I can't see the Texans taking this game, but it would be fun if it happened. But I'm going to go Browns.
Yeah, the Texans are giving up 159 rushing yards per game. That'll be the most ever in a season for the Texans. But I'm going with Cleveland as well. I'm sure Kristen will be happy about that. It might be a clean sweep with the Browns for this game. Let's move on to the Washington football team going into Detroit to face the Lions. Who do we got in this matchup? This is a bad matchup for these. I don't even want to talk about this.
This is an awful game.
Like, before we go into the 4 o'clock, like all the 1 o'clock games are terrible. Like these are terrible matchups. Like I don't even want to watch them, but I will because of fantasy purposes. But who do we got? Washington at Detroit.
I mean, we've talked about it all year. Washington has one thing going for them, and it's their defensive line. That's about the depth of their team. Alex Smith will make a start today, which is the first start I think he's made in since his injury. Yeah, so I mean. Good luck to him. I hope that he doesn't have any issues, but I mean, I'll take Detroit just sheer based on the fact that, this is going to be a rough game. I think that both teams will trade punches for a while, and whoever can find their way, score a field goal or something will end up winning. So, I mean, I guess I'll take Detroit.
What kind of game can we see out of Alex Smith today, Kaylee?
Look, I mean, the Lions are about as terrible as an opponent as you can get if you're going to make a start. So I think that there is like a really good, I mean, this is a good opportunity for him. And I do think the story, right? He came in last week and he put up over 300 yards. It's very impressive, but he also threw 3 interceptions. So
yeah.
At this point, like you're looking at it and you're kind of like,
you got to knock the rocks off. I mean, come on now.
Sure. I do understand. I understand the Dwayne Haskins thing. I understand this Alex Smith's team now. I mean, is it right? I don't know. It's not my team, but I don't think so. But the story of Alex Smith and the Washington football team make me want to pick them. But every time I pick them, they've really burned me this season. I mean, like losing by 1 point to the Giants, like just all these like little things where I'm like, are we serious? Because on paper, it should be like on paper and what we've seen out of their defense should be enough to win some of these games, and they're just not getting it done. And Alex Smith, do I think that he'll have a better game? I think he'll play a cleaner game. Like, I don't think he'll turn the ball over as much, but I also don't think we're going to see him throwing where he's not going to put up 300 plus yards. I can't imagine. I think they're going to play it a little more conservative. I think they're going to try to put themselves in a position to beat a beatable team. But I don't know. I also don't see Matt Patricia getting fired just yet. And I think this one would really push that organization over the edge if they were to lose to Washington. So I'm gonna say the Lions just because I don't think it's quite his time to go. I think we got about another month before that.
Out of us three, I guess I'm the lone wolf out of us three today because I am picking the Washington football team solely because their defense is really, really good. I think Alex Smith is going to have a good game. It's a feel-good story. I think he's going to come out. He's going to be a game manager like he's always been. He's always been a game manager quarterback. He's not a flashy guy. He's going to put up some good numbers today. Terry McLaurin's going to have a good day today against the Lions, who are terrible on the passing defensive side. But, yeah, like I said, this is a terrible game to watch. But I've got Washington pulling it out in Detroit for this one. So let's move along to the frozen tundra. Your Jacksonville Jaguars, Kaylee, are going to be facing the Aaron Rodgers-led Green Bay Packers. Obviously, it's not even a winnable game for the Jaguars, so let's all pick the Packers, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Chip?
Yeah. Well, like we said before, weather again, it's going to be snowing. And it's going to be like 25, 30 mile an hour winds. So you're going to see Aaron Jones might, he could have a very, very good day on the ground out of the backfield. So, we'll see what happens, but definitely getting the feel for winter football today, seems like.
All right. The NFC matchup for this week is the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to New Jersey to face the New York Giants today in this NFC least matchup. Who we got in the Eagles and Giants this morning? Or this afternoon?
Eagles. I hate to say it, but I mean, like, I don't know. I hate picking the Eagles, but it's like what? I mean, they're coming off a bye. It's probably the healthiest we've seen this team, right? They saw the Giants before. They didn't have Alshon Jeffrey. They didn't have Miles Sanders, Dallas Goedert. So now they have all those people, and the Giants have looked pretty bad. I mean, they're putting up points, but they still look pretty bad. And, Philadelphia has a good pass rush. Daniel Jones is not going to be able to get the ball in the air as much as he's been able to with some of the teams he's played. And Philadelphia, I don't think they're going to go off and make any sort of like late season run and shock in the playoffs. But I do think that this is probably the best this team has looked and is going to look just based on the health of their players. So Eagles.
Yeah. I mean, they're getting, like you said, they're getting healthier every week. And as much as it pains me to say it, that they just find a way to stay in games. And Kaylee mentioned their defense. They do have a pretty good pass rush and they can get to the quarterback. So poor Daniel Jones, dude. He shows glimmers. He shows like you see just specks and you see things and the team looks like it can come together and then all of a sudden it's just like falling dominoes, dude. He makes one bad decision, then another one, and then you look up at the scoreboard and it's 802-3 and you're like, what happened the past couple of hours? So I think the Eagles take this one and the Giants will continue to try to find and figure out if Daniel Jones is their guy moving forward.
Yeah, as much as I hate picking the Eagles for things, I'm picking the Eagles as well. They get Miles Sanders back. They get all their guys back for this game. It is the NFC least division leading Eagles with 3 wins. That just tells you right there how bad this
they
division.
should not be allowed to play in the playoffs. I'm going to say it every week.
Yeah, I totally agree with that too. We should not have, and even with
the expanded,
even with COVID.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what you do there. Maybe you spice that up and you take a game and I don't know, maybe you have their fans. Maybe they pick, a team of fans to play flag football and they have a play-in game with their fans and you see who wins or something. But please don't. I don't want to be exposed to a playoff game in that conference. I just don't.
I just can't understand how bad year in and year out this division is always so terrible. Like every single year, like there's maybe one good team in this division, the rest are shit. And I just don't understand how bad, why so bad. And this year, they're all bad. They're all bad this year. Like the Cowboys are the worst. I mean, why? Like they're all bad. And that's what frustrates me the most about this division is they're allowed to still play football. These 4 teams. That's how bad they are. So, all right, let's move on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Didn't get much sleep last night. They were delayed 7 hours heading into Carolina today against the Panthers. The Buccaneers coming off an embarrassing loss last Monday night against the Saints. The Panthers are going to be without Christian McCaffrey again. Mike Davis is in the backfield. Bucks only giving up 77 rushing yards per game this year. Who do we got in the Bucks-Panthers matchup this afternoon at 1 o'clock?
Dude, put on your angry pants today, baby. You're going to get angry Tom. You're going to get the rushing attack. You're going to get everything you want because they're going to be out for blood today. Fire the cannons. Go Bucks.
Yeah. Less enthusiasm on my part, but yeah, I think I do think this is a obviously comeback week for Tom Brady. I think we've seen it year in, year out. He loses the game, he comes back, and he just lays it on the next team he plays. That happens pretty much every time. There's not a lot of samples, obviously, because he doesn't really have a losing record very often. But, I think the first time they played the Panthers, they got a lot of pressure up front. They sacked Teddy Bridgewater, I think, 5 times. So I expect the same. And like I said, time and time again, the Bucs defense is inconsistent, probably as inconsistent as it gets for a team in this league this year. But they had a down week. Now they're probably gonna have an up week, and then we'll see where we go from there. But I don't think this one's gonna be close.
Dude, as fans, El Bushman, tell me what you think as far as the inconsistent part on defense. It's like you go out and you see this transformation, and you see Carlton Davis, and you see you see the potential there, and then you go out and you experience a game like the Saints game, and it breaks you down to the very bottom of your fandom. How do you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and really go into the game today? What do you want to see today?
Well, first of all, alcohol helps. So that's how you pick yourself up. What I want to see today is improvement and gelling from what we saw last Monday night against the Saints. Like the thing is, I am nervous though. Like this could be another Giants game where it could be close up until the fourth quarter, where the Carolina Panthers, who they're not that bad. They're actually gotten better throughout the weeks. So, like I said, I disagree with Kaylee with you saying it's a blowout. I think it's going to be closer than what everybody thinks it's going to be, because DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, who's actually been splitting some rushing in plays as well, and then you got Robbie Anderson. Like, I don't think the Bucs are again ready for receivers like that, and they had some trouble again with them the first time they played. So I don't. You're going to get Angry Tom all day, but Angry Tom doesn't play defense. He's not in the secondary. He's not going after those guys. So the Bucs better put up some points against the Carolina's defense. That's all I got to say, because I think this game is going to be closer than what it is. I'm actually kind of nervous about this game too. I'm not as confident as some Bucs fans are. I just after that Monday night game, it's like, okay, we got our butts spanked on primetime against your division leading Saints now. And now you're playing another division team. So it's my optimism is very shaken right now, and I'm not confident about this team. So you better hang up 30, 40 points against the Carolina Panthers and get it together on defense, because I think they're maybe have a long day against this team. But I'm going to pick the Bucs. So fire the cannons.
I think fast start is probably the most important for this team. Yeah. If you can get out and you kind of get things moving, I think we saw with the Saints, they were never allowed to establish their run game and get some tempo going, and that was the biggest part, I think, and what caused that demise.
And also too, with the Bucs like going 3 and out, they had one 3 and out series that lasted 16 seconds. You can't be like, how are you going to be able to win games when you're on the field for less than 16 seconds, and then your defense has to come back on and try to defend the Saints offense like they tried to do? So I'm not sold. I'm not sold on their defense at all. Like, they may be great, defending the run, but when it comes to pass, they are shit. They are shit. And when it comes to against teams that have great wide receivers, even mediocre wide receivers, they just tend to shoot themselves in the foot. That's why I'm nervous about every single game going forward, because of the way they've looked. It's been so inconsistent. So it is what it is.
We'll see if the internal line changes. We know Ryan Jensen shuffling today. And moving to the guard spot, and they're going to have AQ Shipley moving over to center. You think that provides any help or any additional protection?
I hope so, honestly. I'm just if Shipley's got to be on the same page as Tom Brady. He's got to be on the same page. There can't be any kind of miscommunications, which I think it might happen. They might have a couple miscommunications. You might see a couple of fumbled handoffs here and there, but he's got to be on the same page. And Jensen, I think he's got to provide that extra protection, which Tom Brady didn't get against the Saints. So it might be a long day. It's just going to be a weird situation. Tom Brady hasn't had back-to-back losses ever in his career. So it might happen today, but I'm still picking the Bucs. So it is what it is. Let's get those terrible 1:00 games out of the way, and let's head into our 4:00 games, which the lineup for this 4:00 schedule is
it's juicy.
I love it.
Juicy.
I love every single game on here, even the Bengals Steelers game, which we'll go into first. Bengals, of course, we talked about Joe Burrow and company. Joe Burrow has less talent to work with on his team, but he's looking like a guy that's really comfortable in the pocket, really comfortable at being the quarterback for the Bengals. Steelers and Bengals. Who we got in this matchup? The Pittsburgh Steelers have won the 9 straight games against Cincinnati. Are we picking all? I'm assuming all Steelers. But do any of us think this might be a closer game than what it is?
I think it has the potential to be. The weather, I mean, this is another one of those games. It's going to be outdoors. It's going to be really windy. So division rivalries, but always great to see a rookie quarterback, see the head division leader, the team that's one of the best in the NFL, and see what your rookie's made of to come out and go against one of the top defenses in the NFL. So I'm interested to watch his performance today and what he does. But I think the Bengals are just overmatched by the Steelers.
Kaylee?
Yeah, I agree. I think this could be close, but I also think having a close win against a pretty bad Cowboys team, I don't know. I just think when we see them going off on all cylinders, I don't think we've seen that yet. And they are the most complete team in the league, but I don't think we've seen them, running at 100% on all levels yet in one game. And I think once that clicks, it's going to be game over. And it's actually really fun because I don't think the Bengals are going to win this game, but when you look at the Steelers' schedule coming up, like, what games are they going to lose? Because maybe the Ravens game, but Washington, Jaguars, the Bills, I think they can even pull it out. The Colts, the Browns, who are they going to lose to? It's a really fun. It's going to be fun, but I don't think they lose this week. And I've rolled with them all season, picked them every week, so I'm sticking with it until they let me down.
Well, congratulations to you. Let's move on to a matchup.
Okay.
I know. Let's move on to the matchup that everybody's really talking about this week is the Bills facing the Cardinals today. We've got Kyler Murray versus Josh Allen. These two quarterbacks both have 24 touchdowns between them. I think this is going to be one of the marquee matchups of this week. Who do we got in the Bills-Cardinals matchup this week, Chip?
Man, I really want to go Bills, but last night we all know that there was a COVID report, and it was in the Bills defensive backfield. Josh Norman tested positive. He will be out. I was trying to find right before we got here if there were any other starting defensive backfield players that were going to be out. I don't know for sure. If there's anybody else out, I'm probably going to have to lean a little bit towards the Cardinals. Just due to the fact that the Cardinals obviously offense is based around Kyler Murray, but they can chuck the football around. They've got Hopkins, they've got Kirk, and they've got a lot of talent offensively. Larry Fitzgerald, first ballot Hall of Famer. They can chuck the football for miles. So I'm going to go back and check the injury report. If there's any more injuries in that defensive backfield besides Norman, I might lean towards the Cardinals. But if everybody else is there, I would like to take the Bills. So
Kaylee?
I'm going to check that.
Yeah, this is like a really could go either way one, I feel. The Bills, I think, are overall the better team, but I don't necessarily know that it will come down to that. I do trust the Bills defense more, regardless of sickness and injury, but I do think it'll come down to who can make bigger plays, and I think the Cardinals secondary is just so bad, and you saw the Bills really come into Seattle with a game plan. They knew what to exploit on the defensive side of the ball for Seattle, and they really played to that, and I do think that they're kind of figuring out that they don't have to be a running team, they don't have to be a passing team, they can be whatever team they want to be week in and week out, and that's what we saw in Seattle, and I think that's what we'll see again by that team this week, and so I don't know that the momentum slows this week. I think they're going to go in there and do something very similar to what they did last week, throw the ball downfield, let Josh Allen kind of rely on the passing game a little bit more against a pretty weak secondary. And I think it'll come down to who allows more big plays. And I trust the Bills defense to shut down big plays more than I trust the Cardinals.
All right. I've got the Bills on this one as well. Let's go out and go to Las Vegas. The Denver Broncos are traveling to Las Vegas to face the Raiders today. Who do we got in the matchup? Against the Broncos and the Raiders. Kaylee.
I'm going to say the Raiders. This is another game I literally don't care about at all. There's just something about it. I was like, I couldn't care less if this game occurs or not. But I do think Derek Carr has looked really, really good. He's really been able to kind of exploit the middle of the field, get the ball down on the sidelines when he needs to manage the game. So I do think he's a little more comfortable with being aggressive than he was at the beginning of the season, which will be necessary because I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball on the Broncos. Like, I think that's just not a thing that's going to happen. They might try, but I think they're going to be forced to win in the air. So I think I'm gonna go with the Raiders.
Chip, Drew Lock his past two games has thrown 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He's got an 85.5 passer rating. Does he continue that good streak going against the Raiders today, or do you think the Raiders are going to get after Drew Lock?
I got to tell you, I love Drew Lock, and I love the receivers that he's throwing to. Still a big fan of Judy. Said he was going to have a big game last week against Falcons. He did great. Way to go, Judy. But I think I'm going to ride with the Raiders on this one just due to the fact that Gruden is finding ways to get Carr to one of his better seasons. And, I mean, they really do offensively. They made some great draft picks. They've gotten a young core around him. I think that this team can be dangerous, I think, and they've already shown they can put it together against the big teams by beating the Chiefs. So I'm going to take the Raiders and just continue to go with them, dude.
All right, an NFC West matchup today. The Seattle Seahawks are traveling to Los Angeles to face the Rams. I really like this matchup. This is another one of the matchups I like for today. Russell Wilson has been kind of up and down the past couple of weeks. Who do we got in the matchup against the Seahawks and the Rams today?
Oh.
Why up and down? Not up and down. He had one bad game.
Yeah, I don't think he's up and down. I think their team is really, really incomplete. Their defense is very, very bad.
Oh yes, I agree with that.
But I don't think he's been up and down. I just think he's a little less likely to be in the MVP conversation because what he's doing isn't necessarily translating in games anymore. But I think he's great. Like, he's still up there. Like,
I didn't say he's not great.
You're just saying he hasn't gone up and down though. He's had
down,
like
up and down. Up and down.
He had one bad game. He's like Mr. Consistent.
Up and down.
And with a bad offensive line, he's Mr. Consistent.
Up and down.
I'm going with the Rams.
Ooh.
I'll preface this by saying I am going with the Rams. That is something that could change in the next 50 minutes because I've like flip-flopped a little bit on this one. But it's a super important game for the Seahawks, right? Because this is kind of their division lead really on the line in this game. And I think the Rams just had a bye week. The Seahawks were getting worked by the Bills. So it's kind of like the Rams are very rested. It's really fun matchup-wise because you're looking at Jalen Ramsey. You've got Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald's going to be up in Russell Wilson's face. Jalen Ramsey, don't know how they're going to use him because they find different ways to use him. But, DK Metcalf could be a fun way to put him out there. But I think either way, it's going to be a really fun game. I don't know. I just don't know. I think, like, if the Rams can come out and throw the ball like the Bills did and really exploit that secondary, then I think they'll win the game. I think if they come out as the run-heavy team they have been for the beginning of the season, then I think the Seahawks have it because I think at this point, if you come out and you try to do the same thing the Rams have been doing, I don't think that's going to fly. But if you do try to like shake things up and play to the Seahawks' weaknesses like the Bills did, then it'll be no problem. But
Chip, who wins out of the matchup today if we see it? DK Metcalf versus Jalen Ramsey.
I could watch this football game and just put a camera on just those two and be completely at peace with myself. I wouldn't have to watch anything else, but I want to see the 6'3" DK Metcalf, the brick wall, the granite chiseled human machine that he is against the sleek, agile, mobile, and hostile Jalen Ramsey. I mean, put them next to each other and just film the whole matchup. In run blocking, Jalen Ramsey, it's going to be a long day. Get your Advil ready. Get some ice packs because, I mean, you're giving up a lot of weight and a lot of height. So you're in the run game, you're going to be in trouble. But in the passing game, this is going to be a matchup where I hope they like pan to, the slot or wherever he is and shadow him. I think right now the Rams are actually – Seattle's getting 2.5 points, which is amazing to me for this game. And I think Kaylee hit on it. This is just going to be, I think, an exciting football game. Like there are a lot of different elements, different pieces to this game that we could all watch and be completely happy with. So I'm going to go with Seattle right now. But like I said, I think that this game is going to come down to one or two individual matchups. So if Seattle can find a solution to keep the pressure and keep Aaron Donald at bay, they're going to have a chance to move the football and get it downfield. I think if you turn either of these teams one-dimensional away from their strengths, it's going to be a totally different football game, and strategy is going to have to take over. So I think when it comes to strategy, I'm going to lean more towards Carroll because he has more experience, although McVay, obviously, very smart coach, knows how to make changes and can adjust on the fly. So I'm going to take Seattle right now, but I mean, like we've all said, this is going to be a great matchup to just sit down and just watch.
I've got Seattle as well in this matchup. I think Russell Wilson is going to have a good day. He's not going to be up and down. He's going to have a good day. He's going to have a good day.
Just like every other day, but he's
going to have a good day. He's going to have a good day this week. I've got the Seahawks in this one. All right, let's move on to the 49ers and the Saints. The 49ers have given up 30-plus points in 2 straight games this season. The Saints coming off of a huge win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday night last week. Who do we got in the Saints-49ers matchup?
It has to be the Saints. I mean, I think, the 49ers they're just a shell of what they were, not even just last year, but to start this season and what kind of people thought they were going to be. I mean, this is why they keep ending up in prime time, is because
they're up and down. They're up and down then.
They are down, up, down. But yes, Yeah, they have been up and down. That is a better example. But
Okay.
I think when you're looking at a team without Jimmy Garoppolo, without George Kittle, it's hard. It's not even a question in my mind. And then to see obviously a 100% Saints team, just absolutely demolish what is, on paper and really in record to one of the better teams in the league, that it's going to be hard for any team to beat them, I think, going forward now that they've kind of recuperated a little bit from the first half of the season. But the 49ers, I can't imagine any possible way they get it done.
Chip?
Yeah, New Orleans, like we saw, they got one of their best offensive weapons, if not the best, in Michael Thomas, and things kind of came together. You saw their defense kind of show you one side of them that you haven't seen. So one of the best teams in football, obviously the Saints, when they're clicking on all cylinders. San Francisco is, I think they've been abused by the injury bug more than any other team maybe in the NFL in the beginning, still till now. So yeah, I don't see any way that they can pull it off, but taking the Saints.
All right, I've got the Saints as well. One of our last matchups for the 4:00 games is the battle of the rookie quarterbacks. The Los Angeles Chargers are facing the Miami Dolphins today in Miami. It's Tua versus Justin Herbert. Who do we got in the battle of the rookie quarterbacks, Chip?
Man, like I said, I really like Tua. I think he's going to be an exciting player. Plus, Miami's defense, like we discussed earlier, Kelly talked about it, has really come to a point to where they keep him in football games. I think it's going to be a great matchup, though, to see Herbert. He's one of the guys that's led the Chargers, obviously offensively, and got them into some good spots. And I think they're I can't remember their average scoring. I think they're scoring almost 30 points a game over the past couple of games. So they're definitely putting up some points. But I'm going to take the Dolphins on this one just because their defense is a little bit more apt to deal with the passing attack. And being a rookie quarterback, I think Brian Flores can change some schemes and get some different looks and confuse the rookie a little bit. So I'll take the Dolphins.
Kaylee?
Yeah, I agree. I think, and you hit the nail on the head, because I do think Brian Flores is going to outcoach Anthony Lynn in this game. And I think that's going to be a big factor because you're looking at these two, and they're not too different, these teams, right? I think with where Miami has gotten and where the Chargers have been, despite their record, I think these teams it could almost go either way, but I do think the Dolphins are a much stronger team on both sides of the ball. The Chargers defense obviously has a few injuries here and there, but I think the defense keeps them in it. I do think that Justin Herbert's going to make some big plays because I think he's going to have to because of all the pressure coming from that Miami defense. But I think with big plays come big mistakes. So I do see Justin Herbert having some turnovers, making some mistakes, but also making big plays. I just don't think it'll be enough to beat the Dolphins.
I'm going with the Dolphins as well. I think this might be a high-scoring game between these two teams, even though Miami's defense is way better than the Chargers. And Chip, we were talking about the other day with the Chargers how Derwin James can't cut a break with this team, like what could have been with this guy. I think with all the injuries that the Chargers have on their defense really hinders them, because on paper they look like a good team on paper. That they've got a lot of talent on this team. It's just like the injury bugs hit them so hard this year, and not to take anything away from Justin Herbert, he's been playing out of his mind as a rookie. He looks so well with what he has. It just seems not gelling for this team. And I think they're going to be okay for the next 5 to 10 years if Herbert can keep playing the way he's been playing. Let's just call it a day for this season, and let's look towards next season. But I've got Miami. Miami is surprisingly in contention for the AFC East, which is like really crazy. They could be the wild card for this playoff this year. So I've got Miami in this one. I think it's going to be an exciting game between these two quarterbacks. I really like when two rookie quarterbacks face off, especially when they're doing well. And these guys have been playing well throughout the season. Tua's, looking progressively well throughout each of the games he's been playing. So I think this is going to be a great game this week for the Miami Dolphins and the Chargers. But I've got the Dolphins in this one. So let's go to our primetime game tonight. The Baltimore Ravens are traveling to the New England Patriots. The Patriots haven't faced the Ravens since 1999 when Tom Brady was at the helm, and now they've got to face Cam Newton. So we've got the Ravens and the Patriots. Who we got in the Ravens and the Patriots tonight at 8:20?
I'm going to stick with the Ravens, even though I changed my pick last week in the last minute before kickoff against Indy, and I had Indy, and I thought the defense could get to Lamar Jackson, and they did, but the Ravens defense stepped up and actually hurt Indy, and that's why they won the game. So I'm going to go with the Ravens this one. New England, we all know, is really short on talent, and they've had a great run for so many years, but eventually you have to pay the piper. Either the salary cap kills you, or you don't get the right draft picks, or you don't have enough talent, and the Patriots just don't have it. So, you're going to see hopefully a lot of Lamar Jackson. They need to figure out what they're doing. Mark Ingram is going to suit up. He's been out with an ankle injury for several weeks, and maybe this is what the Ravens offense needs to get going and get moving in a positive direction.
Thank you, Chip. I didn't know that. I'm going to put Mark Ingram in as my flex because I did not know that. But thank you. I appreciate that.
I believe he is going to suit up and start today. Yes.
Thank you for the fantasy tip. I appreciate that. Kaylee, is Cam Newton really the answer for the Patriots?
No, I don't think so. And I think it's actually interesting because I kind of question now if he'll finish the season, right? Like I could see if they lose real hope in going to the playoffs and doing anything with the remainder of their season. This is where you could see, Cam Newton bench, and that would be crazy. But I do think that like Bill Belichick is not above making a point and making a statement. And I do think if they think that they need to take a more active role in securing a quarterback for this team and someone who can lead this team back to where it once was, and I think maybe he does say just sit down, let Stidham kind of take the reins for a little bit and see what happens. Because I mean, at this point, you're not winning. And you're not winning games that are winnable. So I think that's the tough part. I mean, I don't know that will come, but I do think it would be. It's not out of the question. So I do think the Ravens are going to win this game. It's kind of funny because they're kind of underwhelming, but they're still a 6-2 team who has looked very, very good and have only really lost to 2 other very good teams. So I think the Patriots, they'll put up points, but I don't think they're going to touch the Ravens at all.
This is a question I have for both of you. Could we see Cam Newton? Now, he's only signed a 1-year deal with the Patriots for this season. Could we see Cam going somewhere else next season? Because I don't think he's really fitting well with this whole system with Bill Belichick and the Patriots. Could we see Cam Newton go somewhere else next season?
Yeah,
quarterback is the most needed position in the NFL, and as long as you've had a somewhat of a career and been able to not turn the football over and show that you have some talent. I mean, look at Ryan Fitzpatrick. He has played for, I think, almost every team, maybe in the NFL.
Ryan Fitzpatrick is 100 years old. His beard is 200 years old. Yes.
So, I mean, he has played and he has continued to be of value in mentoring young quarterbacks and getting people to their right spots. So, yeah, Cam Newton's definitely a guy who has talent, and teams will look at him to help bring along the younger quarterbacks and find another team. So, yeah, he can definitely play in a different team next year.
All right, and our last matchup is the Monday night game. We've got the Vikings and the Bears. I don't even want to talk about this game. It's like looking at a plain white slice of bread and saying,
"Oh boy,
that's what we have."
Oh boy!
Like, I don't even want to spread Nutella on it. I don't want to spread butter on it. It's just a plain piece of white bread, and that's what this game is. It's the Vikings and the Bears. Who do we got?
I have the Vikings.
Bread, sink, and what? We're not going to put butter on it? What?
No, it looks like a white piece of white bread. I don't want to even put Nutella on it or butter or peanut butter. It's just the Bears and the Vikings. That's what we got.
Oh, God.
And yeah, we're all going to watch it.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's the bad part. So who do you got, Chip?
I'm going to take, and this is going to scare everybody, and this might be under review. I might throw the challenge flag on myself. Bill Lazor is the offensive coordinator for the Bears, and he has not been calling plays. Nagy's been doing that. Nagy has given the reins to Bill Lazor and said, go do this. Bill Lazor, ladies and gentlemen, has ran the offenses for Atlanta Falcons in 2003, and he knows how to work things. He can make some changes. So I think with this change, the Bears defense has never been in question. Their offense has. I think Lazor's change might be able to pull something off. The Bears can shut down Dalvin Cook, and if you put the game in Mr. Cousins' hands, Goody against that Bears defense, it will be a long day if Kirk Cousins has to throw the football, kids. I'm going to tiptoe towards Chicago and wait till Monday night to see if I change. but that is what I'm thinking right now.
I'm picking the Bears because Kirk Cousins doesn't do well in primetime. He's a dumpster fire when he comes to primetime television.
He's a dumpster fire anyways, everywhere.
That's very true. That's a good point. But I mean, he gets paid $30 million to play, so apparently the Vikings think otherwise. But
this I'm going with, very beautiful. It has paper and all sorts of gold.
I think the Bears can contain Dalvin Cook in their running attack. I think on Monday night you'll see a very low-scoring game between these two teams. The Bears are so inept when it comes to offense. But like you said, Chip, they made a change in the offensive coordinator position, so it might be an exciting game. Allen Robinson might go off for like 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. But I've got the Bears winning in this one on Monday night because I think their defense is going to be that Achilles heel that really gets to Kirk Cousins. He's going to have multiple interceptions for this game, so I've got the Bears in this one as well. So, all right, any last news or notes before we get on out of here? NFL Week 10 has now come upon us. Kaylee, Chip.
I got nothing.
I got nothing except fantasy starting to wind down. I play the guy that I'm tied with now in first place. This will be a huge fantasy day for me, so we'll have to hopefully take a victory today.
It's a huge fantasy day for me as well. I play Kaylee and Ruth today in the Fanstream Sports League.
Kaylee.
Let me go look at our lineup because I haven't.
It looks like it was set. So you have Nick Foles starting. Interesting. Okay.
That's not me, obviously.
That's not you. You might want to make some changes. That's all I got to say. But,
let me go look.
Good luck to you. Good luck to you in this matchup. You know, you could have made some trades with me that would have helped your team, but that's okay. It's quite all right. Good luck to you. Anyways, Tuesday we have a special guest coming on. Ryan Jensen's dad, Gene Jensen, will be joining us for Sports Caffeine.
Hey,
which may very well be the last Sports Caffeine show.
Stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned for that. But for myself, Kaylee and Chip, have a great Sunday. Enjoy your mimosas and beer and NFL Week 10. We will see you next time on Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure to stream us on fanstreamsports.com, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and iHeartRadio. And also follow us on Twitter at Sports Caffeine 1, Facebook, and all the Instagram as well. We will see you guys later. It is Sports Caffeine. We're out.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Sports Caffeine. Available for streaming on fanstreamsports.com and Fanstream.